I've got very little experience with the bottle feeding, but with the express breast milk, how stringent do I have to be with sterilising bottles and I guess what I'm freezing the milk in and stuff like that?
Yeah, you have to sterilise bottles for young babies because they can't cope with the sorts of bacteria that grows in milky bottles. That's why you really need to make sure you clean any bottles that have had milk very thoroughly with warm soapy water and then rinse them out with cold, because milk can stick around the insides of the bottle, and that's where the bacteria grows, and that's what can cause your baby to get an upset tummy or get sick. So you wash them, and then when they're very little, you do need to sterilise them in a steriliser and keep them nice and clean. We do say for about 12 months. Once they're about that age, most babies cope quite well. Their immune system has been built up. For the first 6 months, your baby relies on you, the immunity that you've given your baby through pregnancy. At about 6 months, then your baby starts to build their own immunity. And so we give them a bit of a chance to do that.
Yep.
So they can cope with, the sorts of bacteria and bugs that are around.
Yep.
Does that answer?
Yeah.
So you keep sterilising. Yeah. And boiling water, just to make sure.
Yep.
Yeah, there's one thing I found with the bottle feeding, you've really got to be nice and organised.
You sure do, don't you?
Have your own little routine down for cleaning everything, and it does take extra time and effort, but once you've got that down pat, you just make it part of your routine.
It is, isn't it? And lots of women just do all the cleaning and then fill up their bottles with water to start the day, and then it's just a matter of adding the powder each feed. Do you do that?
Yeah. I like preparing everything for the day ahead as much as you can, and then for each feed, you've got what you need ready to go.
You sure do.
Because nothing worse than a screaming baby while you're trying to prepare a bottle.
No, it's best to be ready on the beginning of the day. So you've got all your water ready, and then you can just add your powder. And that's probably the safest way to bottle feed, rather than letting milk stand around. Do you know where to store the milk?
Do you mean
either once you've made up the milk? If you make up, so some mums like to make up the milk all the milk in the beginning of the day. You don't store it on the door of the fridge. You store it in the back of the fridge where it's coldest.
Is that so it's more consistent temperature?
It's colder, so it doesn't grow anything. On the door, because we open and close the door, it's more likely to be affected by the temperature. So we keep it in the back of the fridge at the coldest spot, so it's kept as fresh as we can. So that's why actually adding the powder to the boiled water as you go along is probably easier. And in that sense, you're not having that risk of letting milk stand around, and then you discard it after 24 hours.
That's what I was going to ask, whether you make up formula for, like, if a baby wakes during the night, is it safe to, like you're saying, put powder in the water just for the feed?
Yeah.
But that's got to be hard in the middle of the night.
You can make it up, but leave it in the fridge so it's nice and cold. But never leave formula longer than 24 hours. Always get rid of it. And when you give a baby a feed and your baby takes the feed, you don't leave it. If once they're finished and it's done and it's been out in the room temperature and it's got warm, throw it away. Don't refeed it later. It's better to waste the formula than to put your baby at risk of getting an upset tummy, getting something from the milk as it sits in room temperature, because milk grows bacteria really fast. It's a really good medium for growing bugs.
And that goes for express?
That goes for express breast milk too. Though some people believe it's okay because it's got more protective factors in it. But, better safe than sorry, particularly in a hot climate. In a hot climate, we have to be careful.
And is it true that, again, if you've prepared a feed, you should never reheat it?
No, you shouldn't reheat it. Once it's done and it's heated, then you're best to discard it after probably about no longer than an hour, because some babies take a bit longer, but really once you've done and your baby's finished, then you just get rid of whatever's left over. Most feeds should take about 20 to 30 minutes. That's a normal feed. And most people and babies, after about 20 minutes or 30 minutes, do feel as if they've had enough anyway. When feeds go longer than that, it might be because your baby's having trouble or they're not enjoying that. So you would have to kind of have a think about what's going on. Are they sucking properly? Are they not managing that particular feed, or they just don't want as much? So yeah, it's important. Most feeds 20 to 30 minutes.